So hi everyone, thank you for joining our Clinked 101. Today we're going to be looking at dashboards and data visualizations. So I'd just like to introduce you to our team. So today you've got myself, Hannah, and my colleague Sarah, and we both work on client success at Clinked.
Sorry, technical.
And this is our agenda for today. So firstly, we're going to look at dashboards and what these are in Clinked and show you some dashboard types and how to set these up. And then we've got an example use case for you. And then secondly, we're going to look at data visualizations in Clinked and how you can set these up and use them. We're also going to look at notes and iFrames. And then we will have our Q&A session at the end if you have any questions. But as we go, feel free to ask questions as well. So firstly, what is a dashboard? In Clinked, a dashboard is the control center of your portal. And so it's basically like a snapshot of what's going on with either your clients or your team and your clients. And there are two types in Clinked, which I will define shortly. As you can see here, this is the main dashboard type. So this is probably a view that you will be familiar with. And it's basically for people who can see, who have access to multiple groups. So if you're in more than one group, then that's the first dashboard you'll see when you log in. And it can basically be personalized to you and your groups. And yeah, as you can see in the middle, it has like the activity dashboard. So that's an overview of what's going on. And then to the right, it will show recent notes, files, and tasks as well. And on the left, you can see all your clients, and you can also create a new client. And yeah, this is the second type of dashboard, which you will see in Clinked, and you'll notice it's slightly different. We call this the group homepage. So this is the homepage for your groups and your clients. So if you belong to a specific group, this is the dashboard for that. And it's a place where you can add content to your files or notes, and you can edit widgets, and you can also adjust the settings. So if you wanted to say like change the group name or disable or enable like files or events, you can do that here as well. So this is our use story example. So we'd like to introduce you to Widgets. So this is an insurance company. And you can see here Amanda and Sam. And Amanda is our Senior Vice President of Clients, and Sam is a client manager for Widgets. And in Clinked, Amanda is a super admin, whereas Sam is a group admin. And this is Willow Bend Investments, one of their clients. And you can see here Francisco and Evelyn. So they work with Amanda and Sam on projects. In terms of dashboards, Amanda and Sam will be able to see the main dashboard, but Francisco and Evelyn will be able to see the group homepages because they're just clients, so they will be members of groups, whereas Amanda and Sam will have more of a general overview of what's going on.
So we thought we'd go into a little bit about how to set up dashboards. We're going to go through today how to set up the dashboard in that group view, which Hannah has just set the context for. And so we're really going to talk about that from the Willow Bend investment perspective. As mentioned before, Widgets client is a user of Clinked. Therefore, this is a view of their branded portfolio or their branded environment. And then they've set up a group for Willow Bend Investment, their client. So within that, this is the overall dashboard. So the dashboard itself is set up using widgets. The home page, or this is really the home page for the group. The home page has multiple widgets on it. So that first one, which says Willow Bend Investments, that's actually a note, and it has been actually added into the system by the use of this area with this, which is widgets. Now, just to be able to make edits to the home page, you're able to customize the way that this group is able to interact with various components of the tools and functionalities of Clinked. To be able to do that as either a group admin or an account admin, you're able to access this edit widgets. Also, just to note, someone who can create content, such as Francisco, which was the client, is also able to edit widgets. In this situation, the client has asked, could I please have ownership of the setup of my group so that I can actually set this up in a way that the rest of our team will be able to use it. So that means that from a user perspective, account admin Amanda is able to access this group and make edits on this dashboard. Sam, who is a group admin, is able to do it as well. And Francisco, who's at the client side, is set up as a can contribute. And so therefore he can also do it as well. However, Amanda is just a straight group member and cannot contribute. So to contribute or to make edits to this dashboard, they would click onto that edit widget button. In doing so, the view would actually slightly change. The edit widgets will actually become gray, which indicates that the edit functionality is on for the dashboard. Oh, hi there. Here, I'm just going to mute everybody across the board. If you want to unmute, we'll do questions just at the end of this. In this, if you have the add widgets button will come up and you'll see there's the add widget or there's the drop down. If Sam, whose view this is, was to hit add widgets, then the view would come up as this. When the add widget drop down is set up, this is basically a way to be able to set up the format of the home page, meaning do you want to have the widgets go completely across the page? Do you want it to be 50-50, 2/3, 1/3? You can have all of these different setups. And so that basically aligns the way that people are able to view the widgets. In addition to that, you have the option to hit the add widget button, which will actually show this view. What you can do here is actually select either a note, a specific note to come on board, specific activity streams, which was similar to what you saw on your personal dashboard that Hannah showed right at the very beginning, or if you want to set up a particular task category, you could set that up as well. So there's multiple ways you can use the widgets. So with that, we're not going to go into Clinked at the moment. We're going to do that actually when we get into the data visualization side. But based off of this, does anyone have any questions at this point in time regarding dashboards? And if you want to add your comments verbally, please unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'll just pull up the chat bot options and we can talk about it that way too. I know typing sometimes takes a little bit of time, so we'll give it a moment. And if you don't have any questions, it's no big deal. We will have the Q&A session at the end. So just to keep things moving, we'll move on to the next section, which is probably what all of you came for, which was the data visualization side. And I think, we had actually one comment that came across, which is we would find it useful to be able to add widgets to the icon menu on the left-hand side. That's a really great question. So everything that's on the left-hand side, these are the tools. Those are the main tools that you have to be able to actually add different components. Each of those actually are included on this widget list. However, the widget list itself is something really just for that home page, whereas the left-hand side is more for navigation. And Chris, with that question in particular, it'd be great to learn a little bit more. So maybe we can talk about that offline just to understand a bit more about that ask. Thank you for putting it in. With that, we'll move on to data visualization. So back to you, Hannah.
So we're just going to look at how you can integrate these within Clinked. So as you can see here, you can set up data visualizations within your home page in the group pages. So you can see here there's like a Google Sheet embedded as a note and images within the note as well. So you can sort of tailor it to what your client needs. And yeah, this here is where it was circled. That's how you would add a note into the home page using the edit widget feature. So what are notes? Notes are mainly an easy way that you can share information to your clients without having to continually upload files. And they're a place to display information to your clients and your team. For instance, the home page that you can see here, that's actually a type of note itself. And notes can host multimedia within the page, and you can embed jot forms, documents, videos, images, links and tables here as well. And readers can also make comments at the bottom of the page when you upload a note, so you can also collaborate that way. So now we're going to look at what an iFrame is. I don't know if you've been using these yourself, but they're quite a nice feature to learn about. So what is an iFrame? An iFrame is an external web page embedded inside another. So you can use it to insert a piece of content from different sources into your Clinked portal. For instance, these could be news articles, Google Maps, or Google Sheets, and things like that.
So I'll take this on. So how would you actually do that? As Hannah mentioned before, iframes are a functionality within Clinked that you can utilize in notes. So if I was to say, look at this summary of investments, I've set this up as a note. The way that I did that, the view that's actually coming through there is actually from a Google Sheet that's been published. So that can't be edited in its view. It's only published. It's only it's a read-only setup for clients to be, for the Willow Bend team to be able to see updates from BudX clients, and BudX clients actually runs that Google Sheet on their side to be able to give updates. They internally, Willow Bend Investments could also run it on their own Google Sheets if that was the case, or potentially on Office 365. And the way that they would interact together into Clinked would actually be by utilizing iframes. So what does that mean? We're just going to give you an overview, and then we can actually click into Clinked so you can actually see that. So what is an iframe? We've already talked about the fact that it's in notes. To be able to actually put that note into, or put that iframe into a note itself, you have to come into edit on the note. So you have to have access to be able to edit. And then from there you go to insert. And as you can see, and Hannah mentioned beforehand, there's a lot of different options in regards to inserting into a note. So the notes themselves are very much your way of being able to collaborate or present various forms of content to your clients or any members of that particular group. So in this case, it could be inserting a link to somewhere else. It could be inserting an image, as was done on the welcome page here. You could also insert a video. So say there's a YouTube video you want to be able to show, or you've done something specific for this client and you want to update them, particularly given everything that's going on with COVID and the pandemic. You could very easily in your group share a piece of personalized content in the form of a video and link it via this option. You can also insert a document if that's something you wanted to do. What we're going to talk about now is really the embedding side of things. So there's three components about embedding. So there's the embedding of a jot form. Jot form is a form builder that we work with. Also, we've got the embed iframe, and that's really what we're here to talk about from a data visualization perspective. To be able to show data from other systems, that's where the iframe comes into play. So the iframe is a tokenized URL that's provided by another provider to show a view into their system through Clinked. So that provides you a way to be able to securely show something from another system without giving access or passwords or anything like that, or potentially going over member counts with other systems, to be able to visualize it here, just like we did on the home screen. So with that, you can see if there's the embed iframe. If I was to click onto that, then you'll actually get this view. You'll notice here there are various bullet points that are there. Those are all approved programs, that approved software product providers that I would then be able to use that tokenized URL for. So in this case, we've gone through and actually made it so that the BudX team is able to use the iframe functionality for Tableau, for Databox, for Fleek, for Jotform, just like we were showing before, for FormStack, another form builder, for Google Docs, as well as for PowerO. And we've also actually enabled it for Google Data Studio. So with that, you can see you need to go through that process. So that's something that an account admin would do in account settings. And after you've done that, then you're going to be able to use that URL that comes from the other system and paste it into here, and then change the height or the width, depending on what you want the view to look like in your note. So with that, I just want to talk about who can actually set up these notes. Hannah, do you want to actually talk about that?
Yeah, I can do. So in terms of our user case, everyone except Evelyn would be able to set up notes. And this is because you need to be a content contributor to be able to set up notes.
Sorry, I was a little late on that. There you go.
Thanks. Yeah, so it would just be Evelyn who wouldn't be able to set up notes, but everyone else would be able to.
So with that, we wanted to go through some examples, show you actually how you can actually do these data visualizations inside of Clinked. So if you give me a moment, I'm going to stop sharing and I am going to pull up Clinked and then bring us into that. So hold on one moment. All right, here we go. So let me know when you can see my screen. Hannah, can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, great. So as we were discussing beforehand, so this was the Willow Bend homepage. Since I showed you the initial view, I've actually made a couple changes here. I went into edit widgets, and what I decided to do was I wanted to actually move where we had all of the different that list, so that actual Google Doc, I moved it actually down the page. So you can see it's a little bit further down here. And I did that purposefully because Willow Bennett actually said, hey, Sarah, I need to see this a little bit more. Can you actually expand that view for me? So I've moved it down. The way that I did that was just coming here into edit widgets. And then if you notice, as I hover over it, I can actually move the components around. And be able to then see them in different ways. If I wanted to, I could have deleted different components. So say I didn't need this anymore, I could actually hit the X and be able to remove that and move things around. So as we've said before, this home page itself, this dashboard view really is your ability to be able to customize a group, to be able to hit how you work with your client and the needs that they have within the system. And it's definitely your way to be able to help your clients navigate correctly. So if you want to be able to edit your home note so that it actually has functionality to be able to, say, click into an image to navigate to a particular group section, so a folder section, or if you want them to be able to view data visualization such as this, or even potentially filling out a form. We'll go into the form in a few minutes, but I want to go into the note section and really talk about how that iFrame was set up. So I'm going to come into notes. And as we were talking about this overview of investments. So I'm just going to come into here, and to be able to actually access it, I'll have to hit edit. But before I do that, I just want to mention a couple of things. So this itself is a Google Sheet. The Google Sheet has been published so that it actually is just the data as opposed to being able to edit it. You can actually use the Google Sheet iFrame functionality to be able to get a tokenized URL that allows everybody to edit. So you can actually work in real time together editing a document. Otherwise, the option is to publish it. If when you publish it, it's published only to your account. It's not something that is publicly available unless people have the tokenized URL. So that URL itself is, I'll show you that actually now. So if we come into here, and I want to see the details of this particular chart because I want to change a couple things. I'm just going to click onto it because I've already actually put it into the note, come to insert, and then I'm going to go to embed iFrame. When we do that, you can see the tokenized URL is here. So all of you will recognize, if working with Google Docs, this is actually the Google Docs. This is the Google Docs URL. It has actually been included above here. One thing in including it, you do need to make sure you don't need to do the HTTPS. You just need to do the actual the page itself. And then spreadsheets is naturally a follow-on landing page from Docs Google. So within that, you can see though, following on the end here, this is the tokenized component of it. So that's what makes it so it's possible and safe to be able to share, and no one's going to be able to have access to that unless they have access into Clinked and they have the rights to be able to make those edits. So I'll pause on that, and all I'm going to do here, I'm just going to change this slightly so that it's a little bit shorter. And actually, I don't really like that, so I'm going to actually make it a little bit longer. So these are the different things that you can actually do while you're in the system to be able to customize potentially the views of your data set. So that's one example. We wanted to go through and show you a few other examples of what you can do in regards to data visualizations. And all of these really are already set up by those software providers and using iFrame enabled by us to be able to integrate into your group pages or into your note sections. And then by using that select an individual note widget, you can then actually put that onto the home page if you'd like to. So that was the overview of investments. I'm going to go through a few data options, and then I'm also going to go through the jot form option as well. So from a data option perspective, historically, you'll all know we've always aligned with Google. So I thought it would be good to show you, the newest Google Data Studio tool. Within this, just from the use case of Willow Bend Investments, this is actually just a Google Search Console. It's a way for them to be able to see a full snapshot of what's going on from a Google search perspective. And they're able to do this if they wanted to potentially do this for either their website or some other component, depending upon how BudX is working with them. That's actually what this tool would be for. Excuse me, I'm just going to click into that. And you can see here, once it comes up, if any of you have used Google Search in the past, or you use any Google tools when it comes to your analytics, this should look very familiar to you. The thing that's really nice here is this is a snapshot of another system. You don't have to go into that other system. But because of the iFrame technology, you can actually make some changes. So if I wanted to change this to, say, be 2 months instead, I could apply that, and it will automatically update it. In addition to that, if I wanted to say only look at the United States, I could actually do that. This might take a moment because it's a lot of data that's being pulled up. But you can see here now, if I run my cursor over it, all of the different data points that are in here from a high-level BI tool perspective, you can see these different points. Same thing on this. If you wanted to see a ranking of, say, the landing pages and impressions, you can see it that way. If I wanted to see actually what are the ones that have the lowest amount, you could click on that to be able to get that as well. So there's interactions within this to be able to provide some additional insights. So that was a view from the Google Data Studio. Google Data Studio is something that is part of the Google Suite offerings, and you can build up your data set based upon what you're trying to do. It's a great tool to be able to explore if you're looking at it. Another great BI tool is DataBox. So DataBox is, again, another software platform. It's a way to be able to build up analytics, to be able to show it from multiple components, and to be able to show that data set in a visually appeasing way without giving anybody potentially access to your specific DataBox account. So I'm just going to click into that. This, again, this is data and analytics. So what we were talking about beforehand with Google, this is a Google Analytics side of things. And we are able to, again, it's got a different view to it. It is hosted by DataBox, so this is a DataBox template, but you could customize it if you wanted to. You can change all the different components to it if you wanted to look at these slightly different. Let's just say for the last month, or again, I can do this for the last 30 days. And you've got all sorts of different components in here to be able to play around with. So DataBox is another option. We also have an integration, or we've been looking at Tableau. Tableau, if you're not aware of, is another top-notch BI tool, recently purchased by Salesforce, if I recall correctly. Tableau is used by a lot of groups to be able to visualize information that's coming from multiple sources and create, like a data link or a data lake, depending upon what it is you're looking at, or a database, to be able to then pull the data and then manipulate it within Tableau. Tableau, though, sometimes can be quite expensive, and so you might not want to give access to your entire Tableau account because you might be working with multiple clients in that and creating those reports you would normally provide via just a static PDF document or things of that nature. In this case, Willow Bend Investments is actually a US-based investment company, and they have asked that BudX look at the Connecticut school area because they've looked at buying a golf course and they need to get the insurance on it. So what they've asked to do within the Tableau account for BudX is to be able to have a view as to what's going on in that Connecticut school district based upon income and grade levels across all of these different communities. They had said that New Canaan was one of the places they were looking at. However, as you can see here, New Canaan has a very high income, great grade levels, but the property value is very expensive. So they wanted to be able to see potentially, where there are also high levels of grades, but potentially maybe a slightly lower income level, just so they could actually look at a different price point on the property itself. So this is a great way to be able to visualize information from, say, a system like Tableau, and be able to allow clients to be able to interact in a way that's cost effective for you, and an ability to be able to offer more value to your clients. In addition to it, on the home page there, you did see earlier the JotForm example, and actually I'm just going to click into this. As you can see, this is a JotForm RSVP. It's a way to be able to, potentially a use case would be, Budx is inviting all of their clients to come to their holiday party. Obviously, this might not actually happen this year because of the pandemic. However, they wanted to just put this RSVP on all of their clients' homepages. And so what they did is they've actually set up a Jot form and then actually taken that and put it as a URL, as an iFrame, sorry, into a note. And what they've done is actually put that on the homepage of the clients. And they've actually done that for all of their clients. They made this a note in all of their clients' accounts, and then they've asked their clients to come in and register. So let's just say that I'm going to register under my personal address. I'm going to say we've got, it's just going to be me who's coming this time. And I'm just going to say that I am gluten-free. And I'm going to hit submit. So you can see just from the way JotForm is set up, it gets a thank you note, but this will actually refresh when another person comes back in via the home page. Now, if I go back to notes, JotForm is really interesting in the fact that you can have multiple ways to be able to pull back information that's coming through. I've actually set up a note here so that, and this is probably not the place that you would set this up. You'd probably set this up actually in the Budx account or the Budx group. But I've made it so that I can actually see who's RSVP'd. And I've used it from its JotForm data that's coming into a Google Sheet. So if I click into that, I've actually made this so that this is an editable Google Sheet. So you can see there's been lots of activity by me, lots of RSVPs. So you can see I've just made this RSVP to that email address. I didn't write down I will be attending, but I know that that's right. So I'm just going to hit a yes just to edit the documentation. If I wanted to, I could actually publish this instead and make it so that it's a publishable view. So these are just examples of different ways that you can utilize data visualizations inside of Clinked. And I think with that, it's probably a good opportunity just to start our Q&A session. So I'll stay on the screen just in case people have questions specifically on this. But if anybody, I think we've got one question that's come in through the Q&A side of things regarding Google Forms. Yeah, you can use any form builder. As long as the form builder has the ability to create that tokenized URL, you can embed that as an iframe into a note here. And then same thing, you could set it up so that where that data is going into. So in the case of Google Forms, if it's linked up to a Google Sheet, then you can actually have the Google Sheet set up the way that I've shown here, potentially in, say, a different account somewhere. Or if you want to be able to, show a client, say they're doing orders for you on a regular basis, and you have a form that's set up on their home screen, you could potentially set that up so that they submit the information, and then below you have the way that to be able to see the data. So you're sharing the data with them and with you, which is good. Does anyone else have any questions? And please unmute yourself to ask them or put them into the comment box. All right, we've got one question that came out, which is useful. Sorry, I'm just going to read it real quick. Yeah, okay, great. I think that's more of a suggestion. It's really about the size of the iframe. I think that's a great question. And so the question was, it could be useful to auto zoom the content of the iframe to size into, like based upon the content sizing of the source file, be able to have it set up the right way inside of the note and then also in the view that comes up on the home page. Yeah, great point. I think with that, just a thing to highlight for all of you, if you have ideas or different ways that you think that we could do more within Clinked, a lot of our best practices has actually come from our clients. You can always add your notes by coming here to feature request. So that's by navigating to your profile, coming here to feature request, and I'm just going to right click to open it as a new tab just to be able to show you this. So you've got the feature request area. This is our way for you to be able to submit documentation about what you think would be a good add into Clinked. So you've got your feature request area. You can actually look to see if anything's been trending or if it's new, to be able to see if someone else has already asked this question. In addition, and if you wanted to submit something, just add a quick summary as to what it is. So in this case, you can add, say this example about iframes, iframe auto populating. And then you can add any details. You can also add, images. So we really appreciate any kind of screenshots, mock-ups, things of that nature, so that we can actually see some more. And then when someone's actually submitted it in here, you will actually see the full details of it. And if you think that this is a good one, you can actually say, yeah, I agree with you, and I'm going to up-like it. That means that we know who else is actually asking for it. In this case, you can also do some other things, which is, let's just say top. Top means we've gotten the most up likes. So with subtasks, that's been a big conversation on our side. And so with that, what we do is we actually monitor this all the time. Hannah's one of the team members who's doing that. And so what we do is we look at that over time, and then we will adapt our public roadmap. So this is where you can always come at any point in time, log in and see what's going on. So you can see what's been most recently completed by our team, who is voting on it. You can add comments onto it as well. So let's just say the Google Analytics integration. This is actually one that, we've been looking at. You just saw a moment ago with our iFrame about how you can actually integrate the two just from a visuals perspective. But this is a slightly different question. If we went into it, you can see this person didn't add as much comments. We'd actually love to have a little bit more. But if you can actually add comments, leave comments, make additional notes. So that's just a little bit of what you can do within the feature request area. Does anyone have any additional questions in regards to anything that we've covered today? All right. Well, if anyone does have questions, if we've missed you or you think about something afterwards, please let us know. You can always drop us an email at support at support@clinked.com. You can also always come into the help section as well. This is where you've got a lot of different tools to be able to navigate around. We are working on updating this right now, so you might see some changes on this page in the future. But with that, I think I'm going to just stop sharing my screen real quick. All right, so we've done with the Q&A, and so Hannah, why don't I'll leave this with you so you can say farewell to everyone.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and thanks for your time today. And yeah, if you want to join us again for our next session, there should be another one coming up in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, thank you.
Great. Thanks everyone. Have a great rest of your day.